you take any bathroom breaks, you take bathroom breaks, for anything like that. And we'll take bathroom breaks and water breaks ourselves too. So then, is there anything about your schedule today that makes it that you can't talk to us?
No, there was like a pass for this in the AM and the PM.
Yeah, they reserved the room the whole day,
Oh,
just
okay.
in case.
That's just what they do.
Okay, I didn't know if that was like 2 separate things or something.
I think you have to go back for lunch to get counted for or something.
Oh.
Accounted for.
Yeah, I think
11:30.
Yeah, lunch was like 11, what they're counting like 12:15. So
So in general, how is it here?
it's a lot different in Colorado.
Is it?
Good or bad?
It's better, I think, because it's here. I'm actually around other people. In Colorado, it was just like I was segregated, and there was like counting on the walls all night, screaming, and just telling me
From other people?
Oh,
Really?
they're just telling me like how I should kill myself and like what they're gonna do to me, and just like all that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
it was today. This is a lot different because people here don't seem to. It's not like they don't care, but it's just kind of like they don't like judge you as soon as you walk in. Colorado was like they knew why I was there, and that was it. They were just like they had 1 second on all of me. It would have been
Really?
they were, yeah.
Gee, man. Must be out then.
out of like what kind of jail. I don't know what it was like in DOC there, but like, they had to lock down the jail for me to walk down the hallway.
Wow. It will? So they had to make sure you were completely separated from anyone else. Jeez.
Wow.
Like I didn't see anybody else there. Like I was still next to somebody, but like I never saw them.
You just hear them.
How did they know who you were?
I don't know. I just they make phone calls in there too.
Oh, okay.
And they got the newspaper in there before I got in there. So
Yeah. How was, have you been able to talk with family?
oh, yeah, definitely. Like we get from 6 p.m. to 7:30. That's our my unit's time out. So we get to use the phone at that point in time.
Really? And do they charge you for it, or?
Oh, it's just like it's like Secures or something.
Okay. And how do you make money to pay for that?
They put money on the phone.
Oh.
So if I call, like, if I was like to dial somebody's number, they have to have like a phone account set up.
Oh.
It's like restricted.
And then so who you call pays for it?
Yes.
Oh. Okay. Have you been able to talk to like family members and parents and all
Yeah,
that?
my mom and dad, my sister.
Okay. Good. Is that a good thing?
That's a good thing. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't hear from me. They're like, "Oh, what's wrong?"
Oh, good. And how was it with them?
And so far, so good.
Yeah. Yeah. It was hard to hear your parents at sentencing.
Yeah.
I didn't know what they were gonna say. So
Yeah. And so, yeah, I really appreciated what they said. I don't know about you.
I definitely was. I didn't expect them to be there. So I knew they were there on the 6th. I'm sick, but I didn't expect them to fly back, and I wanted to fly back for that.
Yeah. And then what we all said.
Definitely.
Good. Well, so we have 1,000 questions. I'm sure you do too.
By February 2026, the name Chris Watts had long stopped trending on mainstream news. But inside the darker corners of true crime communities, something unsettling was brewing. Prison sources, leaked audio summaries, and internal behavioral reports began circulating quietly at first. Then all at once, the silence broke. These weren't dramatic Hollywood-style leaks. No secret tunnels, no escape plots. What made them disturbing was how ordinary they sounded. According to multiple prison insiders, Chris Watts' daily behavior had changed in subtle but alarming ways. Surveillance logs reportedly showed long periods where he would sit completely still in his cell, staring at nothing. Guards noted that he spoke less, but when he did, his words were eerily calm, detached, rehearsed, almost polite. This wasn't remorse. It wasn't rage. It was something colder. Even more unsettling were reports about how he responded to questions about his past. When asked about his family, Watts allegedly corrected details with mechanical precision, dates, times, routines, while showing no emotional reaction. Investigators who reviewed the leaked notes described it as clinical, as if he were discussing someone else's life. One leaked internal memo referenced a phrase that sent chills through those who read it. Inmate displays emotional neutrality, inconsistent with situational context. In plain terms, Chris Watts wasn't breaking down. He wasn't spiraling. He wasn't suffering the way many expected. Instead, he appeared disturbingly stable. For the public, this reopened an uncomfortable question that never fully went away. Was Chris Watts always like this, or did prison reveal what was already there? As these February 2026 leaks spread, families of victims, psychologists, and true crime analysts began re-examining everything, from his interviews to his body language to the lies that once fooled the world. And this was only the beginning. If you want the full breakdown of what these prison leaks reveal and why they matter, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. The next chapter uncovers what guards reportedly witnessed during overnight surveillance, and it's deeply unsettling. Inside the prison, cameras never blink. Every corridor, every cell door, every late-night movement is logged and archived. In February 2026, several internal observation summaries, later leaked, focused not on what Chris Watts did, but on what he didn't do. Unlike many inmates serving life sentences, Watts reportedly avoided emotional outbursts entirely. No packing, no angry gestures, no visible anxiety before lockdown. Night shift officers noted that while others struggled with sleep, Watts followed a rigid routine, sitting on the edge of his bunk at the same time each night, hands folded, eyes fixed forward. He did this for hours. One guard allegedly described the behavior as performative stillness, as if Watts was aware of being watched and deliberately controlling every movement. When the lights dimmed, he did not lie down immediately. Instead, he remained upright, motionless, until an exact point before curfew ended. The leaked reports also referenced how Watts reacted to noise. Raised voices from nearby cells triggered reactions in other inmates, irritation, shouting, banging, but Watts never responded. Cameras captured him briefly tilting his head, listening, then returning to stillness. No curiosity, no irritation, just quiet observation. Even more disturbing were notes about his facial expressions. Analysts reviewing the footage allegedly flagged moments where Watts appeared to smile, not broadly, not emotionally, but briefly, almost reflexively, while completely alone. No conversation, no external stimulus, just a fleeting change, then nothing. Psychological consultants reviewing these logs reportedly raised concerns about emotional compartmentalization, not denial, not suppression, something more deliberate. For years, the public assumed prison would break him, that isolation would force guilt to the surface. But what the cameras showed instead was control, precision, a man still managing the version of himself he wanted the world to believe. And if the cameras were right, then Chris Watts wasn't unraveling. He was adapting. If you're following this investigation and want the next chapter, where leaked notes reveal what Watts said during mandatory evaluations, make sure to like this video and subscribe. What truly shook investigators in February 2026 wasn't the camera footage alone. It was the written words that surfaced alongside it. A batch of prison letters, never meant for public eyes, was quietly circulated among internal reviewers before being leaked. These weren't emotional pleas or religious confessions. They were calculated, measured, and unsettlingly calm. In the letters, Watts didn't dwell on the crime itself. Instead, he focused on perception. He wrote about how people misunderstand silence and how stillness can be mistaken for emptiness. One line stood out to reviewers. If you say nothing long enough, people will speak for you, and they usually say what comforts them. To psychologists, this wasn't remorse. It was strategy. The letters also revealed an obsession with time. Watts wrote about dates, routines, and how repetition brings clarity. He described prison not as punishment, but as structure without distraction. That sentence alone raised alarms. For most inmates, prison strips control away. For Watts, it appeared to provide it. Even more chilling were passages where he referred to his past life indirectly, never naming his wife or children. Instead, he used phrases like the previous version and the old noise. Reviewers noted the complete emotional detachment, as if those memories had been boxed away and labeled irrelevant. One letter ended with a line that investigators couldn't ignore. "The worst assumptions are always louder than the truth. I let them be." To some, it sounded like resignation. To others, it sounded like satisfaction. By the time the letters were flagged for restricted access, copies had already circulated. And once they leaked, the narrative around Watts began to shift. This was no broken man haunted by guilt. This was someone still shaping his story, quietly, patiently, from behind bars. By the time February 2026 came to an end, analysts reviewing Chris Watts' prison behavior noticed something deeply unsettling. Not a single dramatic incident, but a pattern. A pattern of calm, control, and consistency that didn't match the profile of a man serving multiple life sentences for annihilating his family. Watts' days followed an almost obsessive routine. Wake time, meal time, exercise, reading, writing, everything occurred within minutes of the same schedule every single day. Guards described him as predictable, but psychologists saw something else: intentional discipline. This wasn't coping, it was maintenance. Surveillance footage showed Watts rarely engaging emotionally with other inmates. Conversations were brief, polite, and transactional. He listened more than he spoke. When others grew loud or aggressive, he stayed still. That stillness became a signature, one that analysts began to flag as performative rather than passive. What raised the most concern was how Watts reacted to disruptions. When routines were altered due to lockdowns or inspections, most inmates showed frustration. Watts didn't. Instead, he adapted instantly, showing no visible stress response. To behavioral experts, that lack of reaction was more alarming than anger would have been. One internal report noted, "Subject displays emotional neutrality regardless of environmental stressors. No indicators of anxiety, remorse escalation, or psychological deterioration." In simpler terms, prison wasn't breaking him, it was stabilizing him. Even more disturbing, staff observed Watts watching others, guards, inmates, visitors, with focused attention, not curiosity, assessment, as if he were studying reactions, dynamics, power. One officer described the feeling bluntly: "It's like he's always taking notes, even when he's not writing." By late February, investigators began asking a chilling question. Was this man ever out of control, or was he always exactly where he wanted to be? By early March 2026, the internal discussions around Chris Watts took a darker turn. After weeks of reviewing footage, logs, and behavioral reports, several experts independently reached the same conclusion, one so disturbing it was softened in official language. Chris Watts was not unraveling. He was intact. In most long-term inmates convicted of family annihilation, psychologists expect deterioration, depression, emotional breakdowns, visible regret, or escalating instability. Watts showed none of it. Instead, his psychological profile appeared sealed, unchanged from the man who calmly spoke to reporters on his driveway years earlier. One consultant described it as emotional containment. Watts did not suppress emotion, he simply didn't access it. His affect remained flat, controlled, and strategically neutral. Even when discussing sensitive topics in monitored conversations, his tone never shifted. No spikes, no cracks. What truly alarmed analysts was the absence of internal conflict. People who feel guilt struggle, they relapse emotionally, they seek validation or punishment. Watts did neither. According to one leaked note, subject demonstrates acceptance without processing. In other words, he accepted his reality without ever confronting it. This raised an unsettling possibility, that the chaos of the crime was not the result of losing control, but of regaining it. Prison, with its rigid structure and predictability, may have given Watts exactly what he lacked before the murders: order, rules, boundaries. A world where emotions were unnecessary and decisions were made for him. To experts, that realization was chilling. One senior psychologist reportedly warned, if this individual had not been stopped when he was, escalation, not remorse, would have followed. The implication was clear and horrifying. By the time the February 2026 leak circulated internally, officials understood why public access to prison footage would never be allowed. Not because it showed violence, but because it showed something far worse. A man at peace. By the time the February 2026 leaks were quietly locked away, one final report circulated among a very small group of officials. It was never meant for public release, not because it contained shocking images or secret confessions, but because of the question it raised. What happens when the narrative is wrong? For years, Chris Watts had been discussed as a man who snapped, a weak individual overwhelmed by pressure, fear, and infidelity. But the cumulative prison observations suggested something far more unsettling. This was not a temporary break from reality. It was a consistent pattern finally exposed. According to analysts, Watts' calm demeanor was not an act designed for survival. It was not learned behavior. It was baseline. The same emotional detachment seen in his police interviews, media appearances, and court statements continued uninterrupted behind prison walls. No audience, no incentive, no performance. That continuity forced experts to reconsider everything. If Watts did not lose control, then the warning signs weren't hidden, they were misunderstood. His passivity, his compliance, his lack of visible anger, traits often mistaken for harmlessness, may have been the very indicators people missed. One leak summary ended with a line that sent chills through those who read it. The danger was never in what he expressed, but in what he never needed to. In prison, Watts does not cause problems. He does not seek attention. He does not dramatize his past. And that, according to specialists, is precisely why his case remains so disturbing. There is no emotional release, no visible reckoning, just acceptance without reflection. As 2026 continues, officials remain firm. Prison footage will stay sealed, not to protect Watts, but to prevent the public from drawing the wrong comfort from what they might see. Because calm does not always mean safe. Silence does not always mean remorse. And evil sometimes doesn't look chaotic at all. It looks ordinary. If this chapter changed how you see this case, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more deep dive true crime stories that uncover what others miss.
It's not something you're trying to, discipline. Birthday present, hey, your sister's getting a birthday present today. You're not getting one because it's not your birthday. That's some kind of, saying this is what you do,
Right.
So Shannon called Chris and told Chris about it. So Chris said he called his parents that night, and his mother told him the same thing. That's what we heard. I didn't hear it, but that's what Shannon had said. So, of course, Shannon never went back to the house with the children. She stayed at our house. So, there was a few times that Shannon would FaceTime Chris, because she would FaceTime every night because of the children.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a few times, a couple of times it did catch me off guard, like, what's going on? Because she was like, are you going to pay attention to the children? Like he was in another world out there. And he's like, yeah. And then, like I said, and I started saying, well, what's he doing? Is he just not, ignoring him and just not paying attention, watching TV or whatever, when he came out, he was the same way. If you've ever seen anything, if you've seen with Chris, he's just the same way. That's how he is. There's no, everything you see in the courtrooms or whatever, he's the same way. That's just how he was.
As far as
His demeanor, he was just more straightforward and didn't,
quiet.
Yeah, he wasn't the really, you know, he would talk to us when we were there. Everything would he'd have a good time, but it was, just doesn't, you know. We went to the beach. The kids, it was the first time they ever went to the beach. And he was like the same way. I mean, it didn't dawn on me anything. And Shannon never said anything to us about a separation, fights. I mean, I don't know if she wanted to just keep it from us and not, you know, get us involved in it. So we knew nothing about anything that they were doing, separation or any of this stuff, until this all happened. And people, friends of Shannon, said, no, this is what was going on. And they said, you know, they had a suspicion that he may have been cheating on her because she had come home when he went. She was gone Saturday he was going to a baseball game. And it was, I caught that kind of odd because he never leaves the kids with somebody else if Shannon's not there. He's usually always home. Okay, they made it ready to go to a baseball game. But she came home and she checked her finances on the phone and found out he spent $60-something for dinner. And he said, yeah, I went out and had salmon and a couple of beers. So, I mean, unless you went to a real expensive restaurant, $60 for a couple of beers, and that may have caused a little bit of, with her, like I said, if she knew anything that was thought something, that really threw her off, saying $60 for salmon and that.
So he told her that, or she called him?
No,
on the
she.
phone,
I don't know if she was home at the time or if she called him up.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, you know, it just didn't sound right to her.
Okay. And how do you know that conversation? Did she tell you this?
No, somebody else told
Somebody
her.
else.
Her girlfriend, I think she told Nikki, the one that was there, and then she told us. And I mean, like I said, that some of the stuff is kind of not all my words. So
Right, and I just need to make sure I
Yeah.
understand which is.
yeah, I
coming
mean,
from
that's
which is-
I didn't hear that personally from anybody.
Okay.
You know, I believe we talked to him and the kids that Sunday night for FaceTime. I believe Bella was eating cold pizza and some kind of a Jolly Rancher taffy or something like that it was. And that was the last time I've talked to anybody. I haven't, you know, the last time I talked to my daughter, I got to look at my phone. It was a while because she went away, and I usually don't bother her when she's away, you know. I'll text her here and there, but that's the last until that morning when that afternoon we found everything out.
How did you guys find out?
My wife was trying to get a hold of Chris. Well, first she tried to get a hold of my daughter.
Uh-huh.
That Monday morning. She kept calling her, couldn't get her, so she texted her something. Well, she says she texted her,